Hey, it's Lucy. You say I'm Claire.
You say it's Lucy.
Hey, it's Lucy and Claire. So we've just wrapped up the 4th day of the conference here in Cancun, and our team's really hit the ground running.
And now that the negotiations have started, we're beginning to get a real sense of what can be achieved over the next 10 days and where Australia can play a really positive role.
So one thing we really need is for Australia to continue to support the Kyoto Protocol. So that's going to expire in 2012, and here in Cancun, developed countries are deciding about whether or not they're going to extend it.
So some countries like Japan don't want to, because under the Kyoto Protocol, developed countries take on legally binding targets and developing countries don't.
So Australia has shown support for the Kyoto Protocol before, but we just need to really make sure they continue to support this principle.
Last year, Australia supported our Pacific Island neighbours who wanted a review of whether we should be trying to limit temperature rise to 2 degrees.
So right now the UN says 2 degrees, but that's based on out-of-date science, and the updated science is telling us that only 1.5 degrees would be a safe temperature rise level. So what we really need is for Australia to support our Pacific neighbours in pushing for this review.
So that's where Australia can play a really positive role, but we also need to keep an eye on some dodgy things that Australia might do.
So when it comes to our emissions from logging and land use, Australia is really good at coming up with loopholes. But if Australia is keeping its own score and coming up with its own rules, then it makes it impossible to have a fair game.
The most important issue is how much we actually reduce our emissions.
So we're moving towards having a carbon price, which is great, but we need to make sure it's high enough to reduce our emissions by much more than the 5% Greg Combay currently has on the table.
And there's a lot of countries that have set targets that are much higher than Australia's, and we need to make sure our government catches up.
So to sum up, there's a really positive atmosphere in Cancun, and we've got the chance to achieve a lot in the next 10 days.
And you can stay tuned for more updates from our team.
Alright. Okay.
Sweet.